Okay guys, back outside working on the F-150.
Oh, well that sucks.
We have a bad tie rod and I've been putting off changing it. I have the part and I need to tow some scrap. So we're just going to get this done and over with. As you can see, she's pretty loose. As well, this sway bar end link is pretty rough, so we're gonna change that while we're in here. So we're gonna start off with that bottom bolt from the tie rod. The nut is a 21 mil. Now, if you plan to reuse your ball joint, never hit it from here. Tap this a couple of times, kind of where it, and it'll pop right out. Now, I already know that this is not coming off because I've already tried to take it off. So, we're going to change the inner as well. Now, I've never seen one of these style of clamps on an OEM inner tie rod. So something tells me that this inner tie rod is aftermarket. But it doesn't have any play, so that's good. Okay, another thing that really tells me that this has been changed before is it does not have an OEM style clip on the inside. And of course I can't find where I put my little flashlight, so I'm gonna have to use this one. Yeah, that's reusable. So that's obviously, well, it might have just been this boot that's being replaced before. So we're going to pull this forward. Now, we're going to take two measurements before we pull this off, just to, oh my goodness. So we're going to measure, oh, nice. This is all messed up. From the bottom to here, and the nut is just past 10.5. So we're going to remember that, just past 10.5. Now, there's this little plastic cover thing that's covering the nut that we need. Oh, that piece is broken now. And then there's a grooved portion that you can get a wrench on, which is going to be a very large wrench. So let me go see what the biggest wrench I have is. Something tells me not big enough is the biggest wrench that I have. 30 mil is the biggest I have in an actual set size. which is too small. And this adjustable goes up to 1.5 inches, and it's also too small. I do have this big old pipe wrench. And by big old, I mean little old pipe wrench. But it's definitely old. Oh, okay, she's tight. Let me see if I have a bigger adjustable wrench somewhere. This one looks like it's smaller than that. Yep. Maybe this one will work. It's not much bigger than this one. Nope. Yeah, maybe. Can never remember which way these are supposed to be used. Yeah, I was using it the right way before. There we go. Nice. There it is, guys. Huge pain in the butt, but we got her. Hey, as you can see, that's out. This inner tie rod is actually in great shape. It's just this outer one that's, it's not completely boned, but there's about, I don't know, maybe a thou or two of play in that, and like, you'll see when I grab the new one. Okay, second measurement that we're gonna want is top of this nut to the bottom of here. So this was just under, no, it was just over 10.5 inches when drooped. This is kind of hard to show on camera. I'm just going to do this off camera quickly. Just make sure that the tie rod is straight when you measure this, otherwise you're going to be thrown off a little bit. Well, it's a good thing that I didn't cut that boot off, because the new tie rod did not come with one. I cut the tie rod to get it off. That's how bad it was. Okay, so we're going to put the boot onto our outer tie rod. And our boot's kind of jacked up a little bit, so 1 minute. As you can see, the outside is kind of sticking in, or the end is kind of stuck in. So we're going to take a screwdriver, push it through the end and push it out. And it came out. It's not too big of a deal if it does that afterwards, once you actually have the clamp on, but before you have the clamp on, you don't want that. Okay, now we're going to stick that through. We're going to put our clamp on. Now, if you have an alignment rack, or you're going to be going straight to an alignment rack, don't even worry about measuring all of this stuff. You can just do it, or put this on, then put the boot on. Bob's your uncle. But I don't know when I'll be able to get to an alignment rack, so I need to make sure that this is as close to in alignment as I can physically get it. Now we want to make sure that the bottom of this to the nut, to the top of the nut, remember we measured from the top of the nut. Ooh, this boot is ripped. Don't care. So just about there. Then we're going to take our new tie rod, and we're just going to snug it up for now. I do need to steal the boot off of my other tie rod because I mangled the boot on my other tie rod when I was trying to do this the first time. Okay, and we just want it kind of snug so that it's not wandering on us. We have our second measurement, so we're going to use that to measure before we 100% put this together, but just for the time being, I want to make sure that that's good. So now, we're just going to put the new one back on. You definitely want to make sure that this is tight going back on, because the last thing that you want to do is lose a tie rod while you're driving. Now obviously it doesn't need to be, you know, as tight as when you took it off, because when you took it off it was bound up. And I don't know what the torque spec is on it. I don't even know how you would measure torque spec on it, because you can't get a socket on it. If you didn't break this, put it back on. Since mine's broken, it's better to take it off, because there are gears inside of here that it can bind up on. Okay, and then before we slide this boot back on, there's a tiny little bit of play in my steering rack, just back and forth. But that's not really an issue, because that's not a movement that you're going to see under normal operation of this vehicle. Made sure she was good and tight. And now we want to measure from here to there. And we are like bang on. Now I did measure this one from the bottom of the nut. Do not measure from the bottom, measure from the top, because this nut might be a different size in the kit that you buy. So, but this is pretty close. And I mean, I could measure the nut, but either way, you are eventually going to need to get in alignment. So now we slide that back. We take our garbage little thinger here. And you're just going to pull on the tail until it's tight. I mean, that doesn't feel great, but if you pull on your boot and it's not coming, you're probably fine. Now there's also a little ridge that this end is supposed to sit in. If you look here, if you look right here, if I pull this out or back, you can see right there, there's a ridge. Okay, and then there's a little kind of seam on here. You're going to pull it forward until that seam sits in there, and then we're going to put this secondary clip back on. Ow, not secondary, outer clip. There we go. That's on. There is supposed to be a crappy little spring ring on this boot that's supposed to hold it on. I couldn't get it back on, so it is gone. Okay, once we have that on, where's the nut? This does not look like my tie rod came with a nut. So it looks like I'm reusing the old one, which I'm pretty sure in the user manual it says not to reuse these and replace them because they are lock nuts, and as soon as you take the lock nut off, you've kind of screwed up the nylon ring in it, but whatever. Okay. Give her a nice tighten down. And then, one last thing. We're going to tighten this up. And the way to properly tighten this is actually to hold the inner tie rod. There is a portion here that you can put a wrench on. Adjustable wrenches tend to round this kind of stuff out, so don't use adjustable wrenches, but I'm going to right now. And you tighten like that. And that's just a jam nut. It's just to hold it on. But there you go. That's now replaced. Now, if that was all you were needing to do, put her back together, send her off. Oh, wait, I did forget one thing. This is a greasable fitting. And I don't see the grease fitting anywhere. I don't know where I put it. Oh, you know what? I don't even think I had the bag. I think this is just sitting up on top of there. Let me go see if there's anything else up on top of that ledge. Okay, now whether I do this tie rod or this sway bar right now is entirely dependent on whether one of my new tools has feel or not. So 1 minute. Okay, I had bought an oxyacetylene kit, but there's no fuel in it, so we're skipping the sway bar for now. Getting a big heavy set of wheels on is such a pain in the butt. Sorry about the sun, guys. I can't really control it. My truck did not pull far enough in for me to close the door. Okay, the torque spec on these are 150 pound-feet. So I will go back over and torque them afterwards. Once I go around the block and make sure that the alignment is correct. If you do this on your truck and your truck is not steering straight, you can get those little 3D printed alignment tools. They work okay. That being said, if it wasn't out of alignment before the tie rod went out, and now it is, you changed your driver's side like I did, steering wheel is pulling straight slightly to the left, so you're steering into your tire. That means that your tire is currently towed in, and you are bringing your other tire over to correct it. Now, if you're steering out in order to correct driving straight, that means that your tire is towed out, and it needs to be brought in. That's it. There's no other adjustments on these. There's no camber, there's no caster. So it's just tow. That's how you adjust it. That was a terrible explanation, so let me explain this better. If you replaced your driver's side tie rod and you are having to steer to the passenger side, it means that your tires are currently towed out. And in order to fix that, you need to adjust the tie rod that you installed, and you need to shorten it so that it brings it in. If you're having to steer to the driver's side, that means that your tire that you just replaced the tie rod is towed in. So what you need to do is lengthen the tie rod that you just replaced, and that will fix that alignment issue. Due to the fact that there's only toe adjustment on the front ends of trucks, you can kind of use this. Cars you can't really, because camber can make you have to counter steer into things. So anyways, guys, it's going to be it for this video. I love y'all. Y'all beautiful. Hope you had a great day. Okay, bye.